Greetings and salutations. In this video, we will go over how to do some automation of various Excel tasks. Keep in mind, all these tasks can be done natively in the application, but the purpose of this video is to help you in automating any tasks that you may need to do on multiple documents. We will go over how to auto-fit all columns and rows across all sheets, hide and show hidden worksheets, show and hide notes, add and remove workbook passwords, all using Python. There will be some bonus footage as well that demonstrate how to protect a worksheet and secure it, and also turning an Excel worksheet into a PDF, all using Python. Follow along and let's begin. Okay, so our first task at hand will be to auto-fit rows and columns that may be too big or too small to fit the data. If we open our sample file here, you will see our first row is bigger than it needs to be, as well as row 19. Column G is so small it's not showing any data, as well as some columns on a different worksheet are not displaying all the data. So we have adjustments to be made across multiple worksheets in this single spreadsheet. Let's look at the code. So our objective at hand is to auto-fit columns and rows across all worksheets. We will be using the Excel API via pywin32. If you don't have it, you can install it with the command pip install pywin32. Once installed, from win32com.client, we import dispatch. We then assign dispatch to open the Excel application and assign that to Excel. Set WB to open our file. Since I'm opening the file the way I am, we will have to add double slashes. So now we're going to loop through all our sheets in WB and activate each worksheet one at a time. Once each sheet is active, we are going to call the AutoFit function on the columns and rows. This makes it quick and easy. Once we AutoFit all worksheets, we then save, close, and quit Excel. Let's open our file before running the code to see how it's formatted. Okay, so both columns and rows needs to be adjusted. Let's run our code and see the results. Okay, so our rows and columns are now properly adjusted to display all our information. Great. Okay, let's go over hidden worksheets. If we open up our sample Excel file, right-click any sheet. If there are hidden sheets, you will see an option to unhide. If you click this, you will see all hidden sheets. Here we can see we have a hidden sheet called My Links. Let's go ahead and also select Sheet 1. So now we have two hidden sheets within our sample Excel file. Okay. So our objective is to unhide all hidden worksheets in a workbook. We will be using OpenPy Excel, so let's start by importing that. We will then load the file in and assign it to our workbook variable. Don't forget to add the double slashes if you are importing like this. We set our variable sheet names to hold all the sheets associated with the workbook, whether it's hidden or not. We then cycle through the worksheet associated with our workbook. If the workbook sheet state is hidden, then we set it to visible to show it. This will cycle through all our sheets. We then save it by specifying the same name. So let's go ahead and run this. And if we open our file, we can see our hidden worksheets are now being shown. Now, let's hide a particular worksheet. Let's pick on sheet 1. So we will use our same OpenPy Excel library and same file. In our sheet names, we want to target sheet 1. So if X is equal to sheet 1, we want to change the sheet state from visible to hidden. And then save the sheet. So if we run that and open our sample file, we can see sheet 1 is not showing and is now hidden. Now, let's go over notes, which are different than comments. In our sales order sheet, we can see there are multiple notes and they are displayed over other cells, hiding the data and making it difficult to read. And there are multiple notes across the worksheets. Our task at hand is to automate the hiding of these notes. We are going to hide all notes across all worksheets of a given workbook. We will be using the Excel API to import Win32.com client as Win32. We assign the Excel variable to the Excel application using Win32. Then we assign Workbook to open our sample Excel file. And don't forget our double slashes. We will then cycle through each worksheet in our workbook. We assign the variable row to get the total number of rows in a worksheet. And a variable call to get the total number of columns in the worksheet. We then set our initiator variables of R and C to each be 1, representing rows and columns respectively. Now, while R is less than or equal to our total rows used, we want to pull the comment of that particular cell, which is not really a comment but a note and is referenced this way. If there is an actual value associated with that cell, we want to turn the visibility off. But first, let's turn it on. And we're going to increment our columns to go across our rows. Once we reach the end of our column, we reset our C value and increment our R value. We then save and close our workbook and quit Excel. Let's run it first with that comment visible to set to true to make sure we are displaying all notes. Okay, we have 3 notes displaying in our sales order sheet. Now let's set our comment.visible to false and run it again. If we open our sample worksheet, we can no longer see the comments, but they are still there if we hover over it. And that is also the case for the other worksheet. Now let's re-show our notes by setting the variable to true now. Run this and open our sample file. Our notes are now displayed again across all worksheets. Now, let's automate adding a password to our workbook. If we open our sample file, we just double-click our file and our data is represented right away with no further authentication. Our task at hand will be to add another layer of security by prompting for a password for the file. So let's add our password to the workbook. We will use win32.com again, so import it. We assign Excel variable to our Excel application. We assign workbook variable to our sample file. And essentially what we are going to do now is resave the file and specify the password with a password flag when saving it. Then quit the application. Now our current file and the one we are saving has the same name. Ideally you would want these to be different, but in my case I have them the same. So Excel will actually prompt me to confirm overwriting the file. So if we run this, we get this prompt. Again, for full automation, you would save under a new name and avoid this prompt altogether. I hit yes, and now our file prompts us for a password before displaying any data. Once we authenticate, the data becomes visible. Now, let's say we want to automate removing the password associated with Excel files. Right now, when we open our sample file, we are prompted for a password. So let's remove that requirement now. To do so, we call the unprotect property, and we must have the password to pass it as a parameter. Once we call that, we have to save the workbook with a few more parameters. Our save as parameter will be our file name, our file format, which we set to none, our password, which we leave blank, and a variable called write_res_password, which we set to blank as well. We also have to specify a new file name. This is required. In addition to these extra parameters for save as, we also open the original file with extra parameters. After our file name in our workbook.open command, we set our update links to false, our read only parameter as false, our next parameter would be format, which we set to none, and we need to specify the password to actually open up the file. Once these parameters are filled in, we call our unprotect with our password and resave it with a new name and additional parameters. Run this and our new file will no longer have a password associated with it, and our original file still has the password associated with it. Now say we don't want to necessarily protect our file with a password, but we want to protect it from being edited. We do that by adding a password to the sheet we want to protect. This will prevent the sheet from being edited by someone who doesn't have the password to do so. If we open our unprotected sample file, let's pick on sheet 1. If we right click, we see the option to protect sheet. So it is not protected and we can edit the cells no problem. So let's close that and we will protect sheet 1 from being able to be edited. We are going to use OpenPyXL and import the sheet protection module. We load our workbook file and set our target worksheet to protect. We specify a password using the set password property and set all the other properties to true. Protection sheet, protection select lock cell, and protection select unlock cells. Save the workbook. Okay, so let's run this on our file. If we open our file and go to sheet 1, right-click, we now see the option to unprotect sheet, which means it's currently protected. If I try to write in a cell, I get this message. The only way to edit would be to unprotect the sheet and specify the password. Once applied, I can then edit the sheet. Let's say our objective now is to convert certain sheets in our Excel file to PDF documents. Let's use our cost sheet in this example. Okay, close the file. We're going to use Win32com again. We set our Excel application, specify our file, and specify our sheet. We call the export as fixed format method on our worksheet, and our first parameter is our file type. 0 represents PDFs and 1 represents XPS. We specify 0, then our file name. We close our workbook and quit Excel. So if we run this, we get our PDF created. And it contains our cost spreadsheet data. And this is how you would convert a worksheet to a PDF programmatically. And that's it, guys. I hope you found these simple tasks useful in your automation needs. Please let me know in the comments section what else you would like to see automated. Thanks for watching. This video has been brought to you by AIP Solutions.